Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Particle Accelerator Podcast, where we talk to future thinking business leaders about how to grow their team and accelerate their business. I am here today with Navid. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Naveed Patel. I'm a founder and CEO of ScalePex. We're a Nearshore arm for what just about every other consultancy is providing. Our unique proposition is instead of going to India or across the seas or across the pond, we're trying to provide same quality, cultural alignment, time zone alignment, proximity, bilingual, and quality at a 40% low cost, but only 2 hours away from Texas.
So are you in Texas then?
I am in Texas.
I'm in the Dallas area.
Oh, so am I.
Awesome.
What part of Dallas?
I'm up in Frisco.
Oh, so am I.
We're having a podcast to find out we're neighbors.
Now I'm going to have to ask, what part of Frisco?
Now we're about to disclose our public addresses on the internet for all eternity. We better draw it there. I'd love to get to know you a little bit. Maybe we'll meet for coffee. What was your first job? How did you make your first buck? Like for me, it was a paper out. I was 13. What was it for you?
My first job was a porter for a Honda dealership back in Chicago. Was to wash cars and give people rides. That's when I got my first license. Hiring practices were a little bit more relaxed. So they didn't realize that I was 16 and they gave me the job. And then they realized that their insurance wouldn't cover me. So I was fired within the first week.
What was the nicest car you got to drive in that week of being a porter?
Of course, they're all Hondas, but I don't know if you remember, Honda Prelude was a fantastic car. I got to drive it and I was like, oh, this is fun.
The Honda Prelude was like, if it didn't come in a 4-door package, it would have been a really sporty car. Cool.
They're bringing it back this year.
Hopefully it's not electric.
We'll see.
I'm reluctant. Since we live in Texas, if you want to go anywhere, you need a lot of range. I'm reluctant to jump on the electric car bandwagon.
I'm the same.
What toy or hobby did you have as a child that inspired what you do career-wise today?
As a child, I had multiple hobbies. We played outside. It was really about exploring things. My parents got a little keyboard. It was this tiny. And I just tried to figure out how the keyboard works just by listening to the sounds. So that was fun. But then I took that to different elements as well. Broken cameras. I loved taking it apart and seeing how all the mechanics work. And that was really my hobby. Go outside, hang out with friends, play a little, and break things apart and see how they work. That was my hobby. Of course, reading, TV, all that. But that was all part of being a kid. You have to read and you have to watch TV. But that was primarily the hobby.
Yeah. I think I destroyed a toaster. I took a toaster apart. I couldn't put it back together. So it was many years until my parents got a new toaster.
The cool part was, again, when you have humble beginnings, we used to go to thrift stores and then I would just look for random electronic stuff to see how I can just mess with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What was your favorite and least favorite course in school?
Favorite course was sociology or anything social science. I'm one of the guys that goes to the game to watch the people, not the game. I'll watch the game, but it's more primarily around what people are doing and how they're interacting. So that was my favorite part. The least favorite, I'm not sure. I don't know if I had a least favorite. They're all fine.
Just get it done. So what quote from a famous person lives in your mind rent-free?
Vince Lombardi. I know I'm going to butcher this quote, but I've used it so many times. Vince Lombardi, right? Always chase perfection, but there's no perfection. In the pursuit of it, you'll find excellence. So really cool. So I use it, share it with others as well.
What do you think the greatest invention or discovery has been in the past 300 years?
A lot of the greatest inventions have become negative these days.
Right.
Technology, social media. In my opinion, if I had to go, the greatest invention has to be electricity, right?
Sure.
The Hoover Dam, during the Depression, there's no money. Our leaders had the foresight to say, let's build something for the future, and it still gives over 2 million homes electricity. So that's cool. So I think that has to be one of the most brilliant and innovative inventions of our time that everyone's going to leverage for years to come. This electricity.
Yeah, very cool. I think we are entering an age where not all technology is good and we have to be more selective. One of my favorite science fiction authors is Neil Stephenson. I'm a big fan of his, and he has a book, Quicksilver, where really the subtitle is A Young Girl's Illustrated Primer, which basically is talking about a digital book that teaches the kid. I think of that and go, okay, he was making it sound fancy, but that's what we do with tablets. We give our kid the tablets and whatever happens. Part of his setting is classism in the future, and the upper class, they call them Victorians, and they shed technology from their lifestyle and go back to a Victorian era motif. They wear suits and they use technology very discreetly. They hide their use of technology. It's not considered elegant for them. But then the lower class is getting the cybernetic implants. And again, this is fiction. The lower class is getting cybernetic implants. And really using technology to enhance. As they do that, it reduces their humanity or has some negative impact. So I always think about that when we start thinking about, is all technology good? And I think the further along we get, the more we'll choose out.
I mean, if you get rid of the science fiction and think about today, our kids are no longer 3D thinkers, right? Some of our older generations, right? We're going to age ourselves. When someone's given us a phone, we're still thinking through how the buttons work. Where's the volume? Where's the off? Where are the speakers? And we're looking at it from inside out and outside in, where the tablets are making the new generation to be less of 3D thinkers, because now A to them looks like this on a flat screen. Us was 3D, right? We pick it up and like we can identify from the side, from the bottom, from the top, where if you show that A from a top, it looks like a little dash or hyphen. The kids these days might say, no, that's not an A. A looks like this, it's flat. So I think we're already seeing the impact of too much digital.
Yeah, going back to your, you're saying you traveled around the neighborhood. I feel like I had a 5-mile radius that I could travel and I didn't have a cell phone. And now like our kids have a lot of connectivity, but they don't go anywhere. So it's an interesting change.
Yeah, our radius was further. So we were in Chicago in the city. Our radius was go downtown and come back, take the bike around the lake, but we'd be gone all day. No phones, everything was great.
Let's get into some of this heavier stuff. It's a really cool business that you operate, LatAm staffing. What tech trends significantly impacted your industry and how did your company respond?
I think right now it's really the convergence, understanding what that really means, because AI, robotics, machine learning, big data has been around for ages. But right now, I think we're sitting at that intersection where everything's coming together and it becomes easier. It's easier for one to talk to the other. You can see Tesla's autonomous vehicles, our cell phone bills. The convergence is bringing technologies together to operate as one. The biggest challenge we're facing with our clients is how do we solve problems that don't exist today? It's easy to solve problems that exist today. Great, fantastic. You can use different variables, learning models, whatever, right? But how do you think about problems that do not exist today? So that's a challenge, right? Because everyone's thinking about that. But the biggest impact on the LATAM side is going to be AI, because there are a lot of those conversations that are taking place to say, why do I need a body to do something, right? Where, hey, magically, AI is going to fix everything. I don't need someone to do it. AI is going to take my notes, AI tell me what to do, write the code and tell me exactly what I don't know. Just tell AI. We'll see how that plays out. But that is the biggest challenge today, I think.
I think it's a challenge for entry-level opportunities, but it creates a lot of opportunities. Eventually, we'll just turn on our phone and the AirPods will speak in our language. And then as we speak, it'll just translation is going to go away. We would never think of needing to hire a translator. We'll be able to speak to each other.
That's happening today. There's various aftermarket products out there, but Meta, the Ray-Ban, right? They have a collaboration with Meta. So Meta, the smart glasses or Meta glasses, they do a bunch of that stuff. The AI speaks to you. And if you're part of the early program, you'll get live translation. It's limited to English, Latin, and Spanish, but they're working on it.
The immediate impact is it's hard for bilingual folks that translate or interpret. Their cost gets reduced. Eventually, bilingual talent would reduce. And the people who are truly bilingual can test those services. And as the human pool narrows, specialization becomes more important. That's my theory anyways, that certain things become easier. Who's going to test the AI later? If it were translating wrong, who would catch it?
AI is a word that's thrown everywhere. It's been around for ages. Back in the day, SEO, personalization, cookies, whatever you call it, right? It's like okay, I know what you want. Let me tell you. Now we're just giving the AI term. Now you don't have to guess. I'll tell you without guessing. But the second challenge with AI, what I was saying earlier, is security. Cybersecurity is huge, because when you look at cybersecurity, it's not an art, it's a science. You can't do A, B, C and repeat it and you'll be safe every single time. It's an art to figure out what to do, how to do it. AI is getting smarter. And if AI is learning your security protocols, it's changing to say, let me see what I can do. I know the answers are, but we'll see.
My son is getting a cybersecurity degree and I'm excited to learn from him. What are 3 technology innovations you're betting on to drive your business growth?
AI sounds scary, but I think it's needed, right? It's needed to replace bodies with technology, right? But then also augment bodies to be smarter. And we're trying these things out, building internal tools. If someone on the phone talking to a person trying to sell something, that's one of our other businesses, trying to sell a product or upsell something. And if the call's not going well, we're working on various components where it's always listening. It's to sentiments. I'm frustrated. I don't have a conversation, but it's also listening to background noise. If the AI heard a dog bark, it will give an alert to the agent and say, hey, this call's not going well, out his dog. break those barriers. AI is going to make it more interesting to have that level of interaction. So I think that's going to be super cool.
What other innovations are you betting on to drive your business growth beyond AI?
Oh, right now, it's a great question. I wish I had time to think through it, but I really can't think of anything at the top of my head, honestly.
Okay, cool. What are the most significant gaps between your ambitions and the realities of today?
I think the major gaps from my ambitions and where we can get to it, I look at it from a business perspective. I'm sure my people and others have different thoughts. It's really be able to have the human conversation with someone, right? And truly understand their why behind what they're trying to do and then try to solve for it. That is not happening today because everything is so remote. Everything is, hey, go send me an email or we'll talk. Maybe we won't talk, but that human touch is going away. And unfortunately, that is going to prevent some of the ambitions to be fruitful, where COVID has taught us that human touch is as important as breathing. There's a big study that happened. And unfortunately, that's a huge issue in our business. It's all about personal relationships. It's also about personal touch. It's all about personal connections. And if I can't have that, there's no way I'll be successful.
Yeah, that makes total sense. What do you think the biggest challenge is to maintaining a competitive edge in your industry?
It comes down to talent in our business. It's talent. You have to have quality talent and provide purposeful engagement. It's also about financial purpose. You can't say, hey, we love you, we're a family, but I'm not going to give you the raise. We have to make sure it goes both ways. To afford and provide that level of financial upside to talent is a huge challenge. And I think that's what's going to come in the way. Identify, attract quality talent.
We're a software development shop focused on recruiting and having a specialization culture. I call it like SEAL Team 6, an elite skill set and supporting people to grow to that elite level. People like us do things like this. We don't do things like that. And so there are some projects that we don't take, like we don't build websites. We'll build platforms. If it's a marketing website that you need, that there's probably a better partner for you so that we can maintain that we have elite projects for elite engineers. And I think that's important to them and their career growth. But yeah, having the type of work that the teammate wants to work on is an important match.
I'm going to throw a question at you. How do you tackle, because you have the talent and keeping them engaged and giving them cool work? That also means you need to make sure the sales pipeline is enough to give them cool work and turn away not so cool work. So that's a challenge. But when we talk about just from a talent retention perspective, talent also has a life cycle per se, right? Where when they're younger, they're super hungry, but less experienced and they cost less, right? Then that same talent becomes more experienced, a little bit less hungry and more money. Then they get to, I'm a parent now, right? So my hunger goes down because I want to spend work-life balance, more money, more experience. And then you get to the other end, I'm an empty nester, drive, right? Very little hunger, a lot of experience, and a lot of money. So how do you maintain that balance throughout experience, hunger, and money? What is the sweet spot for you guys?
I love the up-and-comer. We have levels. So we have the level 1 through level 6. And we do have a pretty fixed concentration in the middle. But what I've created is I've created a practice lead. We call it squads or practice leads where we're focused on soft skills and technical leadership, responsibility, opportunities like being a team leader. Hey, you're going to own this client relationship and own the team behind that client relationship. You have a client, they will form a team. We have a team leader. So that was easy. Pay the team leader more. The team leader has responsibilities to mentor their team and interface with the client. So they need to be at a significant level of experience and communication skill and all of that. But as we progress, we found that we needed another dimension. We needed a dimension that cared about people and their skills. So we created practices. Our largest practice is software development. So within the software development practice, we had to break up into smaller squads, and the squads meet 90 minutes a month, and I deliver to them an agenda for them to challenge themselves and have more intimate communication. So more vulnerable and intimate communication. Something in the agenda will be like, hey, what are things in your life that you're tolerating right now? You don't like these things about your life, but I will meet with squad leaders and I'll give them their own opportunity to run through the agenda. I'll coach them and mentor them on, hey, here's some ways that you could challenge. So I want to challenge the individuals and enrich them as professionals. And I do that through this kind of concept of practices and squads. So practices is the overarching, squads is under that. A lot of practices are the squad. So like DevOps is the squad, data science is the squad. So the practice and the squad are the same thing, But in software development, where I had this large concentration of people, a squad is a 8-person group, 8 to 12 group of people, and they get to know each other and become close through exercises.
So in a nutshell, if I hear correctly, the young, hungry, you prefer that from an experience, from a delivery on the work, where to attract, you build a culture, where to attract and retain some of the senior folks and to still keep the hunger going. Make them more of the coaches to say, now you're responsible, not for the actual day-to-day delivery, but the people that are doing the day-to-day delivery.
It would be actually you're responsible for both. Every practice leader, squad leader is also delivering for a client. But now as they become more experienced, I justify paying them more because they're helping me with the center of excellence.
They want to do that.
Yeah, they want to do it because there's more compensation associated with that. Now we go to your top tier, the tier of the empty nester and the 12 plus years of experience. And that's where we're talking about our level 5 and level 6, where they start to partner with me on the external messaging and culture of the business. So now I want to see blog posts. I want to see videos. I want them to start participating on social media. I want to see them recruiting and bringing people through their process. If they're doing those things, I can justify additional compensation because they're helping me expand. They're becoming representatives. I have very few people graduate to that level. Maybe they find a cushy job with one of the big 5 at some point because they just don't want to go there. But I'm also coaching them a lot. Hey, I just saw you did this amazing thing with vector databases and AI. Why don't you write that up and let's use some of our marketing resources to prepare a white paper. You'll be the author of it. And then if anybody comes in asking questions about that solution, you'll be the practice lead to represent that. And you'll be the solution engineer around that. So yeah, at the highest level, they need to be an external voice of the company. And I'm happy to incentivize them because I need that kind of help. I need those external voices.
That's good. No, that's good. Okay. I think so. So yes, incentive is always important, but keeping them engaged, right? Because at least what I've experienced, I mean, our organization is fairly young, where some of the more seasoned folks, you can give them X amount of monies, right? But then it can also backfire where I know this and I can do this a fraction of a time a new person can. So I'm just going to coast a little bit and do the bare minimum because I'll still do better than the new person. But then how do you get them still motivated and energized and hungry to say, okay, even though I've done this in a fraction of a time, but I still have this much time left. What can I do?
They need a leadership score because as you detect that they're getting more experienced with the regular labor, then now, okay, what are the leadership opportunities? And we have lots of leadership opportunities.
That's great.
We don't hire freshers. We don't typically hire entry-level people anywhere. So most folks are getting things done. These mentors are engaged. At the moment you start to hire people that have not demonstrated real life work experience, then leadership becomes too much of a burden and they can't get things done. We make sure that even the level 1, level 2 talent is competent in executing their work so that the leaders enjoy leading and refining their profession, not
babysitting.
If we ever found that leaders were having to babysit, then we would make a change because that's not fair to anyone. That's not really even fair to the junior employee. How do you approach risk management when implementing something new?
Risk management is always risk mitigation, right? We're young in this organization, but every single project that we've launched, every single new client that we brought in, I always have 3 tracks of delivering, but 3 tracks that starts from the day recruiters get to work. If there's a team of X that it needs to, like where we're deploying a team on Monday, if there's a team of 3 that I need to have at least 9 people because I don't know what's going to happen on day 1, but I need those 9 people hanging around to come up with, okay, if a person, this team of individuals, there's always going to be some pivot, right? So I always look at this, the count of 3. And then if we're delivering a particular development work and the goal is this timeline and this particular deliverable, I want to make sure there's some A/B testing or whatever. Without getting too technical, there are 2 options as well, option B and C, and you just have to plan for it. So all the folks that I work with, they know there's not just, hey, we had a conversation, I'm going to do A and go after it. They're always thinking about A, B, and C. The worst thing is getting a call from your client saying, let's talk. I don't want those type of phone calls.
What advice can you share for connecting technology roadmaps with overall business strategy? How do you plan your business? Do you use EOS, OKRs? How do you decide what to work on?
Maybe this is controversial answer. I never look at technology to solve any business problems, right? Because the business, they already know what they're looking to do, right? Technology is a tool. Oftentimes business know what the issues may or may not be, right? So let's focus on that first. Identify challenges, identify strengths, because oftentimes, and I'm sure you may have experienced too, technology is not always the answer. Sometimes it's process refinement or engineering. And then you can bring technology into the fold, right? What a lot of organizations do is, hey, technology, great. I can have this many people and I can make this much money. I think then we're doing injustice to our clients, right? So the conversation needs to be, what are your challenges, strengths? What are you looking to get out of it? What is the outlook or outcome? What does the success criteria look like? Number one is always, let's see if we can re-engineer whatever's happening today with whatever you currently have, and then we can entertain technology.
If you can solve something on an operational level rather than technology being a barrier. I totally agree with that.
Because a lot of people will come to us and say, I want to move over to Salesforce, for example, right? Because they're the best CRM out there. Okay. Can you walk me through why? Because the sales guy did a fantastic job. Just walk me through it. What are you trying to solve for? Why are you looking to spend all this money? Just help me walk through it. And oftentimes they'll say, because it's cool. It's Salesforce. That's not the right answer.
Yeah, totally. Like the tool does not replace the necessity to manage the problem. It doesn't make the problem go away. Yeah, totally get that. I also find that as we do CTO advisory, that asset value planning or the walking through the customer experience over the tools. A lot of folks have placed off-the-shelf software in front of their customer. They're having their customer interact with Salesforce bits or whatever. The customer experience is the place where you need the custom. So the configuring it for the customer experience is always going to be, you don't get that out of the box. It's not going to come naturally. What the customer specifically needs is going to be something you have to spend some time on.
You have to spend time on doing journey mapping, right? When you look at solving problems. Journey mapping could be, hey, someone's calling into my whatever center and we have to go through XYZ questions. And after XYZ questions, there's triggers that take place and a work order is assigned and someone shows up at the doorstep, right? Oh, give me a tool. I want to optimize this. And the question is, let's journey map it. Are you doing this backwards? What type of questions are you asking? Should you ask question 5? That should be question 1, because you'll know which direction to go and not have someone walk through 5 questions before you can decide which direction this whatever ticket needs to go. And it could also be online experience. If you unify omnichannel, again, it's a very loosely used word and overly used word, right? But if you have the same experience, whether it's analog, digital, and then you know exactly which direction to go. So when you really focus on the journey mapping, then technology is easy. But again, a lot of CTOs come from conferences and say, we have to do this. Bring me this tool so I can tell everyone else we have this. And my question was like,
is the tool really going to solve that problem or the large migration of it?
Exactly.
What lessons have you learned from initiatives that failed to deliver expected value?
So many. And what you said earlier, don't say yes to everything. Know your own limitations. Oftentimes, the initiatives that fail to deliver value to your clients, it's not because clients didn't partner well, they didn't give us the requirements upfront, requirements changed. There are a lot of excuses that individuals come up with, but you need to know your own limitations. And initiatives fail because you may not be ready to take on those initiatives at that time, especially for young businesses. When we're hungry, we want to take everything on. But we need to know to say, not that one. And you mentioned it. Like, you're not a young business, but you guys still do a fair enough job to say, I'm not going down this path, to be able to say no.
Yeah, you got to have the right fit of work to your service. The more you try to be a one-stop shop to everyone, then folks aren't.
And that's what happens. A lot of young businesses, and some old businesses too, we get comfortable or cocky to say, I'll learn on the job. That's the worst you can do. I think that's when initiatives fail. And you're doing disservice to your clients to be able to say, no, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. On your last point, I think as Uber became popular, I would get a lot of folks coming to me saying, ooh, I want to build the Uber for X, the Uber for this situation, and the Uber for that situation. One buddy came to me and said, I want to have the Uber for semi trucks that are roadside assistance. It's a very big problem, right? You have a large truck. There's very few providers. They need help. They don't want to sit there on Google and call multiples. And so I just want an app for it. I want them to be able to hit an app. He's describing a two-sided marketplace. The disadvantage is you have to serve both the provider. The supply side needs a significant amount of technology and the demand side needs a significant amount of technology. That's why Uber burned a lot of money. They had to serve the drivers, screen the drivers, do a bunch of technology on the driver side, and then they had to create this seamless application for the consumer and then make sure all of that was constantly coalescing. And then they had a bunch of issues with the actual jurisdictions, right? The local environment. I always suggest to them, what about a tech-enabled service? Just change your same industry, same problem, just twist, and first just try to collect the demand and serve it. Like just serve it, whether it's people on the phone trying to find a service provider for the demand. But instead of trying to come out the gate with a two-sided marketplace, why not validate the business by working both sides? We worked with a two-sided marketplace for music lessons. We launched right before COVID, which was perfect timing. And they were able to help people maintain their music lessons and even have somebody in middle America, Nebraska, could have a teacher from Juilliard, right? So we virtualized music lessons. And they had the wisdom just to say, you know what? We're not going to worry about scheduling and payments type features. We're just going to make sure that this in-lesson experience is solid. And because of that, they were very successful. They just met the need.
Put a proof of concept together, and then you can put a business around it. Let's prove the model first. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people failed because of that. I think I know a gentleman too who tried exactly that. Instead of, I don't know what your friend was asking, but this gentleman saying, hey, when semi-trucks are stuck on the side of the road, these guys can go look for a nearby mechanic, go and come fix it, and then provide that. So I'm like, dude, there's too much to do at one time. Do you even have data? How many trucks or semis are actually getting stuck on these different roads? How about you take one expressway, one route from Dallas to Houston, right?
Yeah, it's actually a significant problem. He brought me that data. The way he wanted to solve it was too big for being a startup. But a tech-enabled service, the great thing about a service is it makes money today. And you could leverage a partner like you to say, hey, give me an around the sun staffing model, somebody to answer the phone. Here's a database of providers. Help me make the match so that I don't have to build the matching software. I'll build a brand, find the demand, work the supply as a service. I'll have people even pay as a service before I try to have a two-sided marketplace and have to serve both supply and demand and make all kinds of magic happen. And I've seen even in some of the businesses I've started and sold, starting out as a service, which is a closer way to get to that first dollar. Leverage a little more human capital. I'm really softballing this for you because your service is a human capital service, right? Leverage human capital at the beginning of your idea with minimal tech to prove it out, and add tech to make your human capital more efficient.
100%.
How do you cultivate a culture of innovation and digital fluency in your organization? How do you keep people learning, staying fluent, innovating, and thinking of new ways?
For us, it's a little easier because of the holiday differences between US and Mexico. And it helps because when there are US holidays, the Mexico teams are not working. So I will pay them for that day as long as they're doing the learning, the innovating, the getting together, the talks, the stuff, right? But I also put in another component in there is community service. So on that day, if you go give back to the community or come together, learn something, teach thing, come up with a great idea, come up with a solution, a product, or a thought, that's cool. You're coming in, you're coming together, I'll pay you for it. But if you're just going to sit at home, no. So it's become a little bit easy because it's driven by finances, right? But that's actually really helping with innovation. And innovation is not necessarily from technology, but also innovation in people, right? From a people perspective that, hey, if we're going to hire, number one, if we're going to bring someone on to be part of the team, they have to meet this criteria. Forget the hard skills, the soft skills, right? Because soft skills, everyone are just, I have a feeling, gut feels good. This guy's really good. And I didn't ask that question. I was thinking, and I didn't ask the question, but they came to me themselves. Like, okay, wait, gut is great, but every single person needs to meet this type of behavioral targets before we can say, cool, let's walk them through the technical side. This came homegrown from them. Because again, for a small business like ours, when you're small, you're not really thinking through that yet. When you're younger, when you're boutique, you really concentrate on the technology. Can you do the job? Let's go. Can you do the job? Let's go. Can you get me billable? Let's go. Sometimes that can be counter-cultural, right? But these guys are coming with it. But again, it becomes easy.
Great.
You say, I'll pay you if you do these things.
Yeah, it's great. What advice could you give to somebody just starting their digital transformation journeys, where I usually ask, but just starting their career journey? You're a CEO, founder. What would you say to some of the new bloods?
Listen. I think that's a problem. Even me when I was younger, right? We don't listen. Number two, unlearn. Because if you're listening, then you're unlearning. A lot of us are focused on learning since we're in kindergarten. Learn this, learn your alphabets, learn your grammar, learn this, learn manners. It's always about learning, but no one focuses on unlearning. And I believe we can only understand, comprehend, retain so much we have to purge some information. You have to unlearn. Since I was born till X, this is how I did things. Maybe there's a different way. Unlearn this stuff. When you unlearn, innovation comes in. I say that all the time. Listen, but unlearn first so you can learn.
Cool. I like that. I like that a lot. I feel like when we're young, we want to prove to everybody what we know. So listening goes out the window. It's ironic because it's when we know the least. It's counterintuitive, but also counterproductive to not be listening, to not make sure that we're open for that. I also find when you're seeking approval or people pleasing, you're in a mode of taking. It's not until you go, hey, I actually don't need approval or validation. I don't really need to please anyone. Then all of a sudden you're free to give, free to contribute. Yeah. And that's hard for the young person because it's so natural to want validation when you're younger. But if you can overcome that, then you can start giving. You can be an earned listener.
Yeah. But I think that's not just young people. When you're not listening, trying to prove something, you're looking for validation, those are rooted in insecurities. I'm not saying insecure is not in a huge way where you have to seek counseling. We all have a little bit of insecurities, right? So when you're new, when you walk in, when you're fresh out of school, you're new, you walk into a room, let's say from a software development perspective, you're the young person that's sitting in front of a computer, you're a little insecure saying, dude, they've been here longer. They know the code, they know the environment, they know what's going on. Holy God, I have something to prove. That's when our insecurities are loudest. Instead of saying, let me listen, let me unlearn, and let me ask the question and say, dude, I really don't know. I'm super green. Help me out. Our insecurities will push us the other way and say, I'm pretty intelligent. I'm odd, whatever. I don't need you. I can figure this out on my own. I just graduated. You guys are old school dinosaurs. So there's a slightly different approach. If you take that approach, I think it's going to harm you in the long term. But if you take the approach of the humility and say, I'm green, I don't know. I'm not insecure. I know what I know. I don't know anything. Just help me out. Yeah. And I think that's when, cool stuff.
Awesome. So if people like what you've had to share today, how should they connect with you?
I think LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is the best way to connect.
We'll make sure your LinkedIn gets in the show notes. Yeah. But I always give people an opportunity to hit me up wherever you'd like.
LinkedIn has my phone number, has my email, all that stuff's there. It's not a secret, but just hit me up on LinkedIn. That would be fantastic. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you for having me. Take care.